Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 100th episode, special episode, bonus guest. Ladies and gentlemen, we are doing something special today. I'm very excited, and I couldn't be more happy and proud of the podcast. Proud of the podcast guests and the fact that I put out the bat signal to want to do a check-in episode with every guest that we've had on the podcast. I thought maybe we'd get a couple. I'm honored, and it's amazing that you guys would do this. I had every single guest that I had on the podcast within 24 hours confirm to be on a bonus episode where we would just check in for a bit, talk some shit, bop, leave with a pocket full of cash. Don't know what that means, but ladies and gentlemen, I unveil the 100th episode. I gotta say, the fact that we made it here is awesome. It's a great milestone I wanted to celebrate. And here's to at least 900 more episodes. I ain't stopping. We ain't stopping the podcast. We got so much momentum, and I'm so happy. I'm proud of every guest that came on. I'm honored to have you guys, and thank you to the listener, like there's one listener. Thank you for that one person. I don't know who you are, Grandma. Thanks for always listening. But I love you guys, and without further ado, our first guest of the 100th episode. Bars. We got a special one, starting off the show with one of our favorite characters, people in the entire world, Joshua Wallenstein, or something.
I'm just blushing over here. Oh my gosh, just hearing you call me your favorite.
I think I said one of my favorites. I don't know if I clarified.
I hear what I want to hear. I heard favorite. So
I love the outfit, by the way.
Thank you so much. I wore this because when we recorded our episode together, you wore your Jurassic Park shirt, so I assumed you were going to wear it again. Didn't happen.
I had to wear the outfit of the podcast cover, and we're very thoughtful people, and we like to dress for the occasion. So thank you for dressing.
You're welcome. This is all for you.
I appreciate that. And that's the thing, is you've always been such a supportive person of me. You're like a team mom, my soccer mom that I never had,
Oh, a teen mom?
Team.
Oh, team.
Thank you for clarifying that. I do not need those kind of allegations in 2020. All right.
I was going to say, how did you know it was a teen mom? Who told you? Oh my gosh, I wasn't ready to tell the world yet, but okay.
Have you seen that show?
Here's a good time. No, I've seen clips of the show. I've never watched like a full episode of it.
I think it's one of those shows that'll just make you feel good about yourself because you're like, at least I'm not a teen mom,
Yeah, that's true. I think for me, that's I didn't know I was pregnant. That's the one that I would watch, and I'm like, oh, at least I know I'm not pregnant.
Dude, yeah. I mean, I've always known that.
I've questioned about you a few times, but
dude, I've had some stomach pain sometimes where I'm like, I know this is the seed of Satan. Just somehow it always was going to happen to me. Did you ever see that episode where the girl was going to the bathroom and she gave birth, and she was like, I didn't know I was pregnant. Into the toilet.
Literally in the toilet. Oh my gosh. I know, that's the first one that got me hooked, because I was like, I've had many of those moments and I've just flushed it right down. Who knows what I've flushed down there? Sometimes,
you just don't look down because you're like, I don't know, Taco Bell, but
it is what it is. Yeah, I'm not looking. Oh man, I'm sorry to your listeners. That was not me. Don't know. I put on the Jurassic Park shirt and this other character just comes out, but it's Evan's favorite. So
yeah. Let's see. When did we talk? We talked pretty in the midst of the pandy, when things were really locked down and we thought everybody was going to die.
Yes. And since then, that's pretty much happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we talked, I think it was probably probably early April, mid-April, somewhere like that. And that was still, I think, towards the beginning where it's like you just didn't know what was happening yet.
Yeah.
And you thought kind of like, oh, this could be a couple more weeks. And then every week you're like, maybe another week after that. And then I think slowly then we started to realize like, oh, this might be a while.
When did you start being like, oh, maybe I shouldn't treat this as a vacation and eating 6 Oreos when I wake up and going for, when were you like, maybe I should bring it down to 5 Oreos in the morning?
Who was I supposed to do that? I didn't get the memo that I was supposed to decrease my Oreo intake.
I didn't know.
No one told me this.
Okay. Hey, we all have our coping mechanisms.
We all do. No, I will say I did realize that it was like the Oreo thing stayed the same, but in other aspects, I realized, I think probably in like May or June, that like, okay, this is time to like actually start to like, because I moved back to my hometown from California, you know, right when the pandy started. And I was, you know, thinking, you know, who knows how long this will be, it's temporary. And then I got to the point where I was like, okay, I have to start thinking more permanently about where I'm going to kind of root myself, at least for the foreseeable future. Yeah. I would say probably June was when I started to think more seriously about, you know, what I was doing.
Yeah, and it was like now, like it's like when someone, they can't believe they're in prison, and then they're like, all right, it's time to join a gang. You know, start doing some push-ups. You know?
Yes, and I did join a gang in June. That's actually why I'm here today.
You're here as the head of the gang. You know.
Yes, I'm representing.
Okay, what's the name of the gang? Do you guys have a name that you guys kind of roll around town with? Something that you kind of let people know? Do you have a sign? Like, you know, what do you guys represent?
Our sign is kind of like this.
Oh, got it.
We go like this. Hey!
Got it. Yeah. And
we're a gang.
We're a gang.
A gang.
I like it. You guys are out there.
We are.
It has been amazing having you on the podcast. You've always been so supportive of it. I wanted to give this plug first that Josh, after coming on the podcast, not saying I was the catalyst or you're my seed that goes forth and spreads, you know, but Josh started his own podcast, Pulling Up Daisies, available on all streaming platforms. He is a great listen and very quick on his feet. And I'm very excited for you with your podcast. And I think you're gonna,
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I appreciate it. Yes, I was inspired by you as a host. I had so much fun as a guest, and I thought you did so much. You did so amazing as a host, and I felt so welcome. And I was like, I want to do that for people. And so
it's fun. Have you been enjoying the process?
Yeah, I have. I think it's been good for me to. I think better as an interviewee, so I like to answer questions, and now I think it's good for me to kind of be like, okay, I can take charge and you know, kind of navigate the conversation, kind of direct it where it's going to go, rather than being a little bit more passive in the conversation. I could be a little bit more active in it. So it's been really good. It's been a cool learning experience. Yeah.
Have you done any solo episodes yet?
I have not done any solo episodes. No.
I think those are big growth moments.
I think so too. I just have to think like, okay, can people listen to me for this long? What would I say for this long? So I have to kind of sit down and figure out, I have to kind of release my safety net of the other person and then just kind of do my own thing.
Yeah. I think it'd be good. I think, you know, that's the one thing is that I've almost looked at it when you do the solo episodes, like it works. Obviously there's benefits to like giving you more like riffing ability, stuff like that. But it's almost, I've noticed podcasting, and I kind of was doing this today. I've been journaling every day for like a couple of years now. And journaling was one of those things that helped me figure out my own shit and problems and deal with things. But it also was a way to like get me to stop making excuses, because I went back a year ago today and wanted to read what I was talking about a year ago. And a lot of it was saying, I want to start the podcast soon, blah, blah, blah. So I actually did that because a year before that, I was talking about the podcast, and it had been an entire year and I hadn't started it yet. So then the journal got me to do that. But on the benefit side of podcasting solo, it almost is like a podcast journal where you kind of talk through things and different ideas, and you start working out things in your brain. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I would feel like it would be kind of like a cool to look back in retrospect and be like, okay, what was going on at this time last year? You know, what was going on at this time? For your journaling, do you like just like how do you write? Like, do you kind of like do like, okay, here's what happened, or here's what I'm feeling, or do you try to like sit down and like analyze what you're feeling?
With that, I always start with the same sentence, because then I'll just sit there and not know how to start it. I always go, "Good morning, journal. I slept well." I literally start that every time.
Oh,
good morning, journal.
I love that.
And then
even if you didn't sleep well?
Even if I'll say I didn't sleep too well. Like, I literally just write down objectively how I feel. And then if something in particular bugged me, I'll start with that. Or if something's been on my mind, I'll just start working through it. And on some days, if I just feel overwhelmed or stressed, I got a lot to do, I'll just use it as a way to write out long form a to-do list. Kind of give me like a path to get through the day. But I always make sure I do a page every day. Yeah.
You do a page every day. You do it right when you wake up?
Yeah. I have a process where I wake up, I make coffee, I'll make the bed, I'll journal a page. I'll go straight out to the patio. I'll journal a page, and then I'll read usually a chapter in whatever book I'm reading. And then what I started recently is I added this like 15-minute follow-along stretch that I do before I look at my phone or anything. My phone's in the studio. So it's just like a way to get a bunch of stuff to really work on me in the mornings. But it just gives me productive. It gives me like 30, 45 minutes of just only focusing on me and getting those important things out.
Yeah, and I think that's so good too, because for me, first of all, I know it's bad, but I sleep, of course, with my phone right next to my bed. So I always like, how many more hours, of sleep? And I'll look at the time, and then I see I have a message or some kind of notification. I'll check that, and then the first thing I do when I wake up is see, what has happened in the 6 hours I was not looking at my phone. And I know it's like a bad way to start my day. So I know there are so many more productive ways. But when I do something that I do every day, like I do make my bed every day, and I feel so good. Like I feel so productive. It's just like something about like folding like my two little like fleece blankets that I use. I'll like fold those, and there's something like cathartic about that. So I could see just having a routine of multiple things that are, just good for the mind, good for the heart, that sets a tone for the whole day.
Yeah, and it makes me feel disciplined, which like helps so much with me setting my day off right. And it's not because I'm disciplined, it's because I feel naturally I'm not disciplined. So I have to do that kind of stuff to make sure I have like something in place to stop me from getting into an old bad habit. Because before, like, I've been doing it for a couple of years, sleeping without my phone in the room. Before, I'd literally go to bed looking at my phone, and then I'd wake up, I'd be on Instagram, and then you lose like 30, 45 minutes of the day right there, and just you feel bad, and then I'm like, I don't like this feeling. And
yes.
I wanted to end this. This is obviously just tidbits, and I would love to have you back on in 2021 for a full episode.
Yes. I would love that.
I wanted to ask you, this is something I want to ask all the previous guests, is what have you learned in 2020, and what would be your advice for anybody who's struggling in 2020?
I would say the thing that I've learned is that, and it might be cliche, it might be something people have heard a billion times, but for me, I really did learn it in quarantine, that you are an active participant in making your own happiness. Because it could have been the worst year. I started out, I had a couple jobs that I really liked, and like many people in the country, I lost those jobs, and then I came back to my hometown and was living in my childhood bedroom, and it could have been a really kind of backwards experience for me, but I have really amazing friends in my hometown. A couple of my best friends are here, and we, made it a point every day to exercise, to go on a walk. We would do that in the morning to start the day. And then we would work on projects that we wanted to work on together. And we were like, what, if we can't be productive, in the ways we want to be, we're going to do it ourselves. And we would do that stuff, and just different things, just doing different things to make sure I was the one, like I wasn't being handed happiness, it wasn't like I can't just sit at home and wait for good things to happen. I was like, I have to make good things happen, and I have to just you have to work for it. And I think that for me, and part of it is that when you are working towards something, you are just naturally happier because you're feeling productive. So, so that would be, I think the thing that I learned, my advice would be, if there is something you want, live your life as if you already have that thing. And for me, that is, like for me, I have always wanted to be in a relationship, you know, and that's something that I really strive for. And I'll like go on dates, you know, safe COVID dates. But since it hasn't happened, that I have not, you know, been in that long-term relationship that I've wanted to be in, I haven't, you know, met my soulmate. Yeah. I will still, you know, live my life the way I would want to if I had that person with me. So I do all the same things that I would, this is so silly, but it's like such a small thing that just makes me happy. But when I go to this burger place near my apartment, small little mom and pop shop, McDonald's, and and every time I go, the guy asks me if I want ketchup, and I don't like ketchup at all, but I will always tell him yes, because I don't have ketchup in my apartment because I don't like it. And I think to myself, well, what if the person that I end up with, what if he likes ketchup? This way I'll have ketchup packets for him that I'll like keep in a little drawer. And if he ever wants ketchup, he can have that ketchup. And so for me, that's a little way of saying, you know what, it's going to happen. I'm living my life as if it's already happened. And I think it doesn't make me, it kind of goes back to you're an active participant in your happiness. Like I'm not waiting for this to bring me happiness. I'm already happy, and that's going to attract the person. It's going to put it out into the universe.
That might be the sweetest thing I've ever heard, Josh. That is awesome advice. And I agree with all of that. If you build it, they will come. Field of dreams, you know. Yeah. And if you build it, they will come, if you know what I'm saying.
They will come.
Will come.
Fingers crossed.
I've been practicing. A lot of people look at love and relationships like you're waiting for someone to rescue you. You're waiting for someone, once I have this, then I'll be happy. But it's like, if you go through the whole process, and it's even the same thing with business and everything, it's like if you treat yourself like you're a professional and you do all the things that you would want to be in a relationship, and you're that person will find you. You know, you attract the people, how you act. You know, you don't magically get with someone, then all of a sudden you're like, now I'm going to be that person in a relationship. You got to be that person.
Right. Like you said, if you can just already, you know, have the tools, if you can already build it, then you already naturally have these this happiness built in.
Yeah. I love that, Josh. Yeah. And I love you. And well, thank you for being on the podcast.
I love you, and congratulations on 100 episodes. This is huge, and I am not surprised at all that you have reached this milestone.
Get out
of here. But I'm so appreciative to be a part of the 7 Minutes in Evan family.
Hey, I should have had everybody only do 7-minute segments in Evan.
Oh,
but we kind of went a little long, you know. But we
went a little long.
It's all right.
Just for your favorite.
Yeah, you know? Just for your favorite. But I love you, Josh, and thank you for doing this episode.
Love you. Thank you so much.
Oh, there he is, ladies and gentlemen.
There it is.
Return of the Mack. Over here looking like a college athlete.
Hitler.
No, you look like you've just been working out.
Yeah, right. I haven't worked out in months, bro.
Yeah.
You just wear the swag?
I just wear the swag.
You just look athletic?
I wear the athleisure.
I like it. Where are you? You in a meditation studio?
I sure am. I'm in a hot yoga studio.
I bet.
That's why
you're not making a weird home booty call right now at all, are you?
No.
All right. This is great. So professional.
I honestly didn't think that this would be possible on my phone.
Oh, there's a lot possible on phones nowadays.
I know. 2020,
dude, I'm so behind the times. I'm so behind the times.
Seriously. Mac, I have not listened to your guys' episode yet, but I have it downloaded on my phone.
Wow, you're something else. I listen to yours, but you don't listen to mine. That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Wow.
a Taylor Swift album didn't come out when mine came out. Okay, a Taylor Swift album came out when yours came out.
Okay, you have an
So
Bleh.
That's fair.
thank you. Okay, that was rude.
This is actually
that was rude.
this is
Thank
actually
you.
the first, technically the first episode installment of the Three Amigos on the Couch, or Comedians on the Couch,
Oh yeah,
That is
the lost podcast
Oh
that
my
never came to
gosh!
I know that never came into fruition.
be. Yeah, I love you, Josh.
All right,
Miss you, Josh. Love you.
Bye.
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 McKinnon Beaton, welcome to the podcast. It is great to have you back on so soon.
I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, that was quick turnaround.
That wasn't a quick turnaround. That was probably 8 days.
Yeah. I'm sure your life has changed a lot since the podcast.
So much has changed.
Yeah, you probably can't go anywhere. How you been, man?
I've been good. Staying healthy, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Busy. Because I work in the restaurant industry, we've gone through another shutdown again. So, bruh, I know. So awful.
How you guys doing with it?
So the restaurant that I work at, they're doing takeout and delivery. But aside from that, again, luckily I have a meal prep that's keeping me afloat. So I'm very, very blessed with that. And then there's other revenue streams that I've kind of created with doing the videos with the whole Mack Meals thing. So I think I'm thankful with that. So that's another source of income. So you can't depend on just one income. It's crazy.
100%.
So
Here, an idea for you for videos. This is kind of inside baseball, but
Go.
I have Amazon affiliate links in all my YouTube videos, and it's linked to all the products I use from recording this video, recording, this microphone. Everybody can find everything they see in this video, and I use for all my production in the description of my YouTube videos. You could do something similar with your cooking videos and create Amazon affiliates for all the products you use in the kitchen.
so what happens then?
So when they click a link and they buy something through Amazon, or they buy something, I get a small percentage of every sale.
You don't even have to reach out to Amazon for doing that?
Nope. You just sign up through Amazon affiliates and then create your affiliate links, and you get a percentage of that. So for you, I think listing all your cooking utensils and tools and everything.
So smart.
It's another way to double dip, baby.
Dang.
That was something that I actually didn't really expect from the podcast, was people clicking the links and seeing all my equipment and actually clicking through and buying stuff, because then it started generating me money. And I was like, I had no idea that would actually, I just did it because I knew that's what people did. And
Right.
it actually started generating money.
So smart.
So that's for you, big guy. That's for you and Mack Meals.
You're passing on so much wisdom.
I'll always support my friends in their entrepreneurial journeys.
Endeavors.
Endeavors.
Yeah, I think with you, I was definitely correct when I said that you're wise way beyond your years.
Oh, shucks.
In all of your ages of 32.
I think I'm 33 now.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, November 25th. I think I turned 33. Now, that's how I know I'm getting old, is because
You start to forget your age.
and you're kind of like, am I 32? Am I 33? And then, yeah.
Isn't that funny as we get older? We're just like, how old am I? Hold on. 92.
Yeah.
So 92 plus 8. And then we're in 20 years. So
92 plus
I'm 28. Yeah. I
think
want to know if I'm going to go bald or something.
you just can't worry about it. You just got to accept it,
Deal with the punches that are given to you.
Yeah, that's one thing I've realized from when I was younger. That's the only thing I think I have that's like a good skill, is I'm very observant. And so I see when people try to hold on to things that they shouldn't hold on to, that ride never ends well,
It doesn't.
When you're trying to hold on to your youth so much, it's like, I always use the analogy, it's like a cat on a melting iceberg, and they're just like, their claws are in there, just like, and they're not being graceful with it. Like when you see I used to see it in Puerto Rico in the clubs, when you would see like a 50-year-old with completely dyed hair, like jet black hair, and they're in like young hip clothes, and they're trying to act like, and I'm just like, dude, go home.
Your time has come and gone.
Yeah, man.
Let it go.
Yeah.
It's like when you're when you're in a pool and you're like on a floaty, but the floaty doesn't have enough air. So you're trying to figure out the balance of how much weight to distribute on the left side and the right side. It's
just get out of the pool. Just get out of the pool.
Just let it.
Grab your towel, hit the locker room.
Yeah.
But I would like to know, what have you learned in 2020, and what would be your advice for anyone struggling with 2020?
Oh, that's a good question. When it comes to what I've learned this year, I think you need to learn how to be adaptable. I think you need to learn how to be the way of water, as we talked about previously.
Yeah.
Because I think that if you can adapt in a tough situation, then you're gonna not fail, but things are gonna be extremely difficult for you if you're not able to adapt.
Yeah.
And then what have I learned? What would the advice be? I think the advice would be save as much as you can. And that's being serious, because I think 2020 has taught us anything. It's like to be financially stable, because of people with job loss. I know it's with job loss, I think it made us realize like an emergency fund is like definitely essential in our lives. And I know it's very difficult to because I know I'm kind of an outlier when it comes to like saving, because I don't have any debt. I was able to pay off school. While I was in school, I was able to work and then pay off school. So again, I'm kind of an outlier. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, he doesn't have any debt, so what is he talking about? But it's like, I think if you try to prioritize your finances and then try to create a savings, like there's a little bit of buffer before you start putting yourself in more debt. This, I guess, is what I'm saying.
I think that's great advice.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of taught us like we need to have a healthy financial relationship with ourselves.
100%.
I think too many people spend money on things that they can't afford to impress people they don't even like.
Bars.
With the money that they don't have.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you doing? Don't spend money. Don't get car payments that you can't afford. What are you doing?
100%.
So I think that would be something that I would kind of take away. But 2021 is our year?
Hey.
Question mark?
Hopefully, man. It might be fucking aliens years for all we know.
I know. I'm really hoping that this vaccine like really starts going out to the public so people can start taking it. I don't know where you stand with that.
I want to see what happens with the first wave of people taking it, and then I'll hang back for a bit.
They start dropping like flies.
Yeah. But all right, Mack, I love you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. The 100th episode, special episode.
I can't believe you even got I can believe, but that's amazing that you made it this far, and there's only more to come.
Thanks, man. I know it feels good. I was going through my journal today and looking a year back on it, where I was talking about I need to start the podcast, blah, 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 and now to be a year. So a lot can change, and it's just small,
seriously,
compound interest.
It's just the one after the other.
Yep, that's all you got to do. Just one foot after the other. Y'all got there.
Hey, ain't nothing to it but to do it.
Hey, ain't nothing to it but to do it. Thanks, Mack. I love you.
Appreciate you, Evan.
Ladies and gentlemen, for this segment, we have, once again, probably the most professional person that we've had on the podcast, a pangolin expert, zoologist extraordinaire, Lauren Ayres. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did. You got it.
All right. Thank you for coming back on.
Absolutely.
My first question that I have is, how are the pangolins doing with all the press they have received over the past 9-10 months?
Yes, they have gotten a lot of press for sure. Thankfully, they have been somewhat exonerated. People are not blaming the pangolins anymore for coronavirus.
Yeah.
I think it's been pretty well assumed that it's people behind coronavirus.
Yeah.
But of course, they still will be having a hard time for as long as they are continuing to get poached. So fingers crossed that things get better for them. But luckily, they're not getting, trampled because they're, just existing.
Being blamed for a world pandemic and crisis. Yeah. And that's a tough rap to kind of lose.
Yeah.
How have the animals been holding up with it?
Oh, they're doing great, of course. Everybody, that normally would interact with guests and see them on a day-to-day basis, they missed the guests. And it was kind of interesting when you would walk on like the public side of a pathway when, after 3 months, these animals hadn't seen people there, they would all like run to the front of their habitat, like, oh my gosh, look at the person. But they transitioned very quickly back into having guests there. So they're all doing great. And luckily conservation efforts are still happening worldwide. And, you know, we can only hope that it will continue. And once the pandemic is over, people will care about animals even more.
Yeah, that's actually something I was interested in, was when there's kind of like a crisis, like a pandemic, it's like people become focused on people and they're like, we have this that we have to deal with. And like the truth behind it is like animals in conservation have a huge part with causing pandemics, or actually being a factor in pandemics, in the sense of illegal trafficking, these animals' conditions, wet markets. Did you see a fluctuation in people's attention span with these conservation efforts?
You know, sort of. In the very beginning, yes. A lot of people were talking about, you know, shutting down wildlife wet markets and how do we stop this? But it's almost been forgotten now that that's where, you know, the origin of this was. Yeah. And I think once the more humanitarian issues kind of came into play, like people's financials and, you know, like people being unable to feed their families, of course, you know, that comes first. So once we start to rebuild the world, hopefully conservation will still be on people's minds. But those of us that are involved in it are still doing what we can.
Yeah, that's awesome. And if you ever want to come on the podcast in the future to talk about more conservation stuff, feel free, because I do think that's such an important thing. It would be, I think like what it is a lot is people's attention span, that there's been so much media and just so much. This has been the craziest year for the news, in the sense of how much different stuff people are watching to get them angry, get them upset, get them scared. And I was excited in the beginning because I'm like, oh, people are seeing the issues. They're taking care of their health. You know, they're these, you know, standards that we have in other countries of wet markets. Like, it's all going to get fixed now because we're seeing the real issues with it. And then somewhere along the line, everybody was just, I hate Democrats, I hate Republicans, and the world.
And then I'm not wearing a mask because it's clearly political.
Yeah, it's all fake. And then I'm just like, oh no. And,
oh no.
There was a point where I felt, you know, and like with 9/11, even though I was a kid, it kind of felt like the country kind of came together. Everybody was patriotic. And I thought that, you know, when we started going into like 3 weeks, a month into the pandemic, I thought we might see that. Like, I thought we were kind of all going to be like, we're going to, you know, now everything's a perspective of what matters in life. This cancel culture is going to go away. We're just going to be like, okay, this is reality. But it felt like it almost slingshot the other direction, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, I think that social media definitely played into that. Mm-hmm. You know, I was super involved in TikTok and a lot of social media. I still, you know, right now I've been taking kind of a mental health break from it because it is definitely like a toxic environment. And, you know, what you were saying about things being so quick and coming in and out. And, you know, I feel like TikTok is like that, you know, there's like a trend. And if you're not on it within 30 seconds, then it's already like old news. Yeah. And that's how I think a lot of people are absorbing all of their information, you know, not just like the TikTok dances and trends, but also like news, like, oh, I don't care about that. That's, you know, who cares about a pandemic?
It just doesn't fit the narrative or how they feel. And I like the point that you made. And this is actually, I got to give you credit because you posted a story saying, how are you doing with the pandemic? I'm surprisingly doing good. I need help. Or it was something along those lines of, you kind of were doing a questionnaire. And I thought that was a great idea. And that's actually what led me to ask the guest,
oh, cool.
What have you learned from 2020, and what would be your advice for anybody struggling with 2020?
So what I've learned is definitely not something positive. I've learned that people are a lot more selfish than I ever realized. Yeah. And that, you know, can be kind of a doom and gloom type of topic. Like, oh, everybody's selfish. We all hate you. I don't know why I turned old.
It's great. But, I love it. I love impressions.
And I think, but one way to kind of turn that around is to recognize self-care within that selfishness. So, we all have to take care of ourselves before moving on to take care of others. And so if there's a difference between being selfish and not caring about others, but putting yourself first in order to be in the best shape to care for others. Right. So I think my advice would be, hey, it's okay to be selfish and give yourself a little bit of self-care. Go home. I learned what self-care was over 2020. I had a loss in my family. Like,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Like the grief counselor was like, what do you do for self-care? And I was like, I eat.
Yeah.
I don't understand. And she was like, no, like take a hot bath. And I was like, yeah. And then I'm, stuck in my head with all these thoughts, but just really kind of focusing on the positive little things. So for me, my pets are my big self-care thing. If I'm like losing my mind, I'm out on a walk with my dog.
Yeah.
And, you can kind of just ground yourself and then say, okay, I focused on myself. Now I'm ready to go. I'm ready to change the world, or to help, my neighbor, help my best friend get through something too. So I think, kind of turning selfishness into self-care is maybe a better way for us to kind of think about it and improve on that idea.
That's phenomenal. And I love that because I think there's too many people. I think you are similar in the same idea with me of like kind of being an entrepreneur and you kind of do your own thing and are building your own life. You forget a lot of the priorities at the core of self-care because it's like, no, I just need to work hard. I need to do this. I have so much to do. And it's like, you almost feel selfish if you do self-care. Like you feel like you're wasting time and you're just like, no, I don't have time for a massage. How much that's going to cost? That's time that I wasted. I could be investing in this or just something. But I think that's great advice. And keep saving the animals.
I'll try.
And even with you saying, going on a walk, I luckily was able to move my dog in with me last December. So it happened perfectly for the pandemic where it was like getting to have an animal with me all the time while we've been kind of in stay at home has been phenomenal. And that's why I wanted to have you on because I think we definitely have to take care of the animals that take care of us.
Yes, absolutely.
I know you now. I don't know if you had a podcast at the time, but you do have a podcast now, correct?
Yeah, I haven't been up on it lately. It's like really hard to podcast, but you were, as I'm sure you know.
Oh yeah.
Working 40 hours a week and like, I don't know, having a life and a husband and a zoo at home. But my husband and I, after you had said like, Lauren, you should do a podcast. Like you'd be really, really good at this. And you offered some help. And I kind of, looked into Anchor and started, basically trying to figure out how does this work just as a fun, like quarantine project.
Yeah.
Set this like super lofty goal of making an episode every single week about conservation news, which was great for like the first couple weeks. And then it was like, there's nothing in the news to focus on. Picking like a niche subject like conservation news. So right now it's on hold. As of the end of the summer, we just wanted to kind of get things back together. Figure out like life in general. And we hope to bring it back and around, but it's called the Conservation Weekly podcast. It's just fun, lighthearted, and
it can be the Conservation Yearly right now until monthly, even
conservation
bi-monthly.
Like maybe sometimes
season, one in the fall, one in the spring. I still stick to that I do think you should have a podcast. It is tough because you are kind of niche down, and especially during this pandemic, I felt it a lot where I felt like I was just repeating myself and I was just, it's tough, but I hope when things get better, you guys keep going with that.
Yeah. We appreciated your podcast during all of this, because there hasn't been much going on and there's only so much TV you can watch. So definitely hit up the Evan podcast for sure during my work hours, all 10 hours a day that we've been putting in.
I appreciate that. I hope the rest of 2020 is good for you guys. And I would love to have you back on the podcast next year.
For sure. Thanks, Evan.
Doorstep, honey, without your knife and a prayer.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy in this part of the episode to have my favorite singer-songwriter in the whole Ventura world, the lovely Marley Rae Lovelace.
Thank you.
Looking like Rachel Ray Lakeside right now. Beautiful.
Yeah, home. You like this?
This is great. Where did you get this background?
Oh, it's like the first or second IKEA? Image. If you no, you literally Google clean living room, and I just copied the first picture I saw.
This is actually great. Mm-hmm. So I saw that you have a green screen now.
Actually, this is not it. Really? I have a bunch of packages I am letting decontaminate. They go from my front porch to my back porch. We don't touch them.
It's like NASA or something. Like you just decontamination area and
exactly.
That's impressive.
Thanks. I don't know if I'm proud of it yet. This whole quarantine pandemic thing has really brought out some very colorful personality traits in all of us, I'm sure.
100%. What month did I have you on the podcast? I like to reflect at that time.
So it was right when my song released, so August.
Bars. August. And that song that you guys actually heard, I'm going to go back and I'm going to put it in before your part. That was Marley Rae Lovelace, the one and only. What is his name? The Knife?
The Knife. And then Big Bad Wolf.
Parentheses, Big Bad Wolf. Available on all streaming platforms. Spotify. Mm-hmm. Is it on the YouTubes?
It is. It's on the tubes.
I like it. So that was August. How have you felt about 2020? What's been going on with you?
At the beginning of the pandemic, it was kind of, the vibe was different, obviously. I think we're all like getting high off memes and getting really inspired by the whole thing because it was this weird, bizarre coping mechanism to, just like, we're in a pandemic. This is so weird, but we're all experiencing together. And then somewhere halfway in, we just start like, I don't know, the burnout's real. Mm-hmm. The getting over it. I didn't know exactly what I was in for. It's very exhausting.
Yeah, I agree. It has been tough. And that's one thing that I have been asking everybody is, what have you learned in 2020? And what would your advice be for anyone struggling with 2020?
Humor and laughing are so important. Like I would not have been able to get through this year without laughter, without having even a morbid sense of humor, just anything to like give you that little I don't know, espresso shot of lighter times,
Yeah.
Because I, at one point I didn't feel like I had a right to laugh or to be happy about things.
Yeah.
But then I was like, fuck that. I mean, over the period of all existence, we've gone through so many terrible things. And I think none of us really have experienced something this hard before. So it was kind of jarring, but life is just a bunch of, melancholy and then good times. And the contrast is really important, I think.
I think that's great. So what would be your advice to someone who is struggling with that? Because, I think that's a huge trend online right now. Not that it's a trend, but a big key thing that's happening with the burnout and everything is people kind of struggling with self-fulfillment, just getting to be happy. So what would your advice to those people be?
Be graceful with yourself. This is fucking hard times. And if we hold ourselves to such strict expectations and pressures that we put on ourselves, or if we don't set boundaries and like other people are putting pressures on us, then you are going to have this sense of unfulfillment and failure. Like, I'm having a lot of goals and projects, and the most important thing for me right now is making sure that the energy that I do expel, especially on other people in my life, make sure that they're good energies, make sure that they're good people who are inspiring you, who are holding you accountable, and make sure that you have goals, because you want something to drive you. And also, whatever timeline you think that you're going to finish a project, just throw that away. It's bullshit. Everything is going to take a little longer than you expect it to right now. Yeah. And that's okay. Yeah. So the worst thing that you could possibly be doing for yourself right now is nothing. Bars right there. I think that's so important. It does feel, because like I've been kind of reflecting with everyone on 2020, and it does feel like there was a point in the beginning we were getting really high off of, well, we're all inside. Look at me, I'm on the couch. It was my favorite. Yeah. I was so buzzed from it.
Yeah. And then there was a point where it was like, shit, maybe I should start eating a little healthier because I might be in this for a while. And then it was like, all right, I'm doing home workouts for a couple of weeks. This is cool. And then it was like, I'm tired of not being able to do anything outside. And then it was like, I can't even escape the social media because it's gotten so toxic. And then with it being election year, it's just gotten so much even more. So it definitely has been a roller coaster. And I think you nailed it with saying that setting goals and still being graceful and allowing yourself to, you don't have to be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Bars.
Thank you. What have you been up to? Like, how are you feeling?
Well, no one's ever asked me that. No. You can
count on me. I'm always like, tell me more about yourself.
Yeah, no. And for the listeners, Marley is, she's one of those check-in friends where Marley will just send you unsolicited. They're appreciated moments of just, hey, how you holding up? And I just love, because I'm such an onion with layers. Yes. I just love replying with one word. And I just go, swell. And Marley gets so angry about it. She's like, let me in the layers. I know you feel. I want to feel the emotions. But I have appreciated that. And I think that's been a big thing where during this time, I've been good. I've just been staying busy, still goals and just trying to stick to a regiment and checking in on people. That was something that, you checking in on me and everything. And just, I think it's so important because it's just like, even just one little text you send someone could just change the monotony and like the cycle that they've got themselves in of just like, oh, everything sucks, blah, blah. But then you get a random text from someone that you haven't talked to and they're just like, hey, how you holding up with everything? It just can completely change their week, have it go in the other direction. Yeah.
Well, honestly, like when I was talking about goals and my projects and stuff, when I talk to certain friends who either I get like knowledge or advice about with my projects, it can propel me into doing like 2 to 4 hours worth of work just from that, like getting excited again,
Hell yeah.
So it's really important to have that.
Yeah.
Also, one thing, I'm so stoked and grateful that you shared your story about how you proposed, because I was going to attack you with questions when you got back. I mean, I'd give you like a few days to settle in, but I was definitely wanting to know how it happened.
Thank you.
It was just so great that a salty old man was there.
Dude, he would not leave. I literally gave him fish and then took it back to be like, you need to leave the dock.
When I heard that, I was just busting up. I'm like, you know what? No, you stayed long enough. You don't get these.
Yeah. Because he's like, I'm going to clean them right now. And I was like, give me them back. No. He would not take any kind of hint or anything. I literally, I shut down on him so much because he would start asking questions and talking. I'd be like, yep, crazy. Nice. And then he even was all packed up. He goes, what do you think of my cart? And I was like, cool. Get it
like
moving.
Even better if it's gone. Yeah.
I want to see it from 200 yards away, disappearing into the horizon. But yeah, it was a good time. And Marley, I want to thank you. I believe you're the only live performance we've ever had on the podcast. And of course, in 2021.
Wow, thank you.
We would love to have you back in studio and do another performance. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for.
Of course.
Don't cut off my thank yous.
I'm sorry. Don't play the music with her award. Keep going.
No, just thank you for helping promote my first real release. I had one before it, but it was such a joke one about like the pandemic and stuff. So just, I don't know. Thank you for being a very supportive friend. I appreciate you.
Of course. I will always support people whenever they do something for themselves,
Right on.
All right, Marley, I love you and I will see you.
Love you too.
Sometime soon. Bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this segment. I am here with the host of the How It Came to Be podcast, Hannah and Sarah. It is amazing to have you guys back on. How have you guys been?
Wonderful. I was just actually right before this, Hannah's like, is this going to be on video? Do we need to shower? And I was thinking, oh man, I hope he doesn't put these side by side, like what we looked like like at the beginning of the pandemic. And then after we're just like, one eyebrow, like crazy hair.
I know. I actually was pretty good about showering in the beginning, but things change,
I hear you. I know you have a little one, so I think you're in a completely different game when it comes to that. How has it been having a 1-year-old during this time? I feel like with kids, it's just a completely different game.
Yeah, it's crazy because Sarah and I were just talking about this actually. Like when I sent him off to daycare in like February of this year. And
you're like, see you next year.
Right? Like
I
was thinking like, never in my life am I going to get to spend so much time with my child as I did during maternity leave, right? Because now I'm going to have to work forever. And even when I have vacation, like it's not going to be this much time.
Yeah.
And then about, a month or so later, I started working from home, had the stay-at-home order. So he stopped going to daycare and we've all been home together ever since. And I'm like, oh, it's so much different than I expected. I was worried about him like getting his measles vaccine and like getting measles because there was an outbreak going on when he was little. And so I was really concerned about that. But it turns out he never leaves the house. So that's not a worry anymore.
Can't get measles if you never leave the house.
Yeah.
And Sarah, how have you been?
I've been good. We were just talking about how it's so weird to be in quarantine. We used to worry about so many different things. Like I remember right before this, I was turning 30 and I was throwing a big party and I was like so stressed about like whether to get the bacon wrapped scallops or if I was going to get like the broccoli tarts or whatever the thing was. I think I ate bacon wrapped scallops at home alone.
Really?
On top of pizza bagels. Yeah. I think
that's actually great because you don't have to share any of them. You just get to enjoy. You don't have to get all ready. No pressure.
How's Texas?
I'm in California still.
What?
Yeah, we had just went out to Texas to look at houses and if we really wanted to move there. I won't be making the move until probably February at the earliest.
Okay.
And did you find a house?
But Texas is good. Nothing's changed with it. I'm just not there yet, but I think it's okay. We actually just got, because I'm self-employed, had to go through the craziest mortgage application to verify everything. And we actually got the approval today. So now we're in the...
Congratulations.
Thank you. That is the most grown-up shit I've ever done in my life, is applying for a mortgage. And we got the approval today. So we're going to start looking seriously.
Did they accept drug dealing as a profession? Like, did they get a hold of your clients? What was the process like?
It is, yeah. You just have to really verify that you have the good stuff, quality stuff, especially during this time, that it's actually, you know, I'm an essential worker to some people.
Right.
You know?
And you really had to be innovative too with the pandemic going on about how you get your product out.
There was a lot of like drop in bushes deals going on. So it brought, you know, pigeons, messenger pigeons, kind of that thing. So how is your ladies' podcast going?
We have one that I need to edit. It's Hannah's latest one. And we're not going to tell you what it's about, Evan, because you always ask and you never just listen to the podcast. So
I listen. I like them. It's a great podcast. It's very educational.
As a homeschooler, you love educational podcasts.
It's about mustard gas, actually. Evan.
Oh, really? Seems derivative, but okay.
To our podcast.
I've been asking every guest that's been on today, but what have you learned from 2020, and what would you tell someone who is struggling? Advice you have for someone struggling with 2020?
I think one of the things, we were just talking about this the other day, is that like the things that you have to think about or plan ahead, and you try to like plan every little moment out, that, I mean, on a big scale, a pandemic could come and just make all those things obsolete. But on a small scale, you actually don't know what's going to happen next month. And so, you know, it's like the bacon wrap scallop pizza bagel dilemma. Like, you might not need to stress about that so much. And it could be good or bad. I remember us worrying about when we would get time to make a podcast and actually go along with it. And then the pandemic happened and all of our social lives and everything just went away. So it was a lot easier to make the podcast and actually execute this plan we'd had for so many months.
Right. And I mean, Sarah is she's a spontaneous person. So she's good with like, go with the flow and do what happens next. I'm like such a planner. Yeah. And I kind of get like, just like panicked and anxious when I don't know the plan or what's going to happen. In, you know, like every vacation we've been on, obviously we vacation together. I like plan meticulously, like our itinerary and what we're going to do every day. And, you know, like go crazy if we don't go to the next ride that I have planned out that we're going to go on in Disneyland. So it's really hard for me I mean, especially now, like I have no job. I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know when we're going to like get this vaccine and be able to go outside again. So it's been really hard to just deal with that. But I think I've kind of figured like, you just have to forgive yourself and let things slide. And like, you know, I think we've all had that idea of like, oh, well, we're stuck at home, so we're going to be super productive. And we have, you know, started our podcast while it's going on. So that's good. But, you know, we're not Taylor Swift. We're not making 2 albums. We're
3. There's going to be the third. We all know there's going to be a third.
Yeah, everyone thinks there's going to be a third, but we're just trying to get by. So I have to kind of be like, you know, I didn't do anything today except take care of my baby and watch The Bachelorette, and that's okay.
Which is a full-time job. You got to give us credit for that. The Bachelorette is a great show. The
there are stuff, like 20 seasons. That is a full-time job.
Yeah. I think that's
What have you been doing during the pandemic, Evan?
Just getting after it. You know, as the kids say, grinding. One thing I think that is important for everybody to kind of take into consideration is like kind of what you were saying, Hannah, is like, be okay with not just getting after it every single day and kind of understanding. Like, that's the thing, is like, I would get in arguments and like kind of be upset about certain stuff. And I'd be like, we're kind of in a pandemic right now. This is a very special time and you can kind of give yourself some slack. So
yeah, I keep trying to remember that with my students too, because I'll get upset about, you know, them not turning something in, or I'll be like, you know, you just need to do this so that you can pass the class. And then I'll think, I mean, several times I'll see them in the background and they've got little siblings, or they're like in charge of watching their little siblings while their parents go away. And so they've just had more struggles and more mental health struggles than they ever before. And so I'm like, okay, I can cut them some slack. Like I want them to work hard. I want them to learn and grow from this semester. But at the end of the day, if they miss a couple assignments, it's very different than a normal semester.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's great. I think that is like the one silver lining through so much negative stuff you see, is situations like that where we're kind of still trying to cut each other some slack, and you being in that position, I commend you for doing that for your little students.
And also a bunch of people that I know started dating at the beginning of the pandemic. I think like if you had some like little hangout person, then you like, boom, we're in a relationship. Like I know 2 of my friends just moved in with people like so they could quarantine together. And now you're also seeing like trajectory of the relationship because I'm seeing several of them falling apart now. And I'm like, oh no, we're going to the end. But for some people, it was so great. Like my one friend got engaged because they were like, semi-serious. And then the pandemic made them like super serious, and now they're engaged and they're so happy. And I think that it could be either really good for relationships or really bad for relationships if you were already kind of solid. And have you and Beowulf been getting along? Are you all like are you guys ready to break up or
at each other's throats?
Beowulf's been like getting walked by the neighbor. I don't know what that means. Spends a lot of time with them out on the patio.
I thought you were serious at first. I was like, why? You have all this time. Why are you letting your dog get walked by somebody else?
We just need space, I guess. He's been throwing the ball for her. She really likes it. Seems more happy than when I throw the ball for her. Not eating the food I give her.
Weird text messages popping up that you don't know who they're from, but there's heart emojis.
She turns her little dog phone away from me when she gets messages, goes in the other room for calls. And I'm just like, you're a dog. You shouldn't even have that phone. But, we're all adapting to 2020. Ladies, it has been great having you on the 100th episode, special episode.
Yay, congrats, Evan.
Thank you. I'm very happy to have you guys back on, that you agreed to it. And you guys come back on in 2021.
And we'll have you on for our 100th. We're at 25 this week, upcoming week. So
heck yeah.
You can be on our 100th.
I'll put on 2025, the year 2025. I'll mark on the calendar.
Hey, we're not going to miss that many weeks.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the How It Came to Be podcast hosts, Hannah and Sarah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so happy in this segment to introduce you the one and only, the Ginga Ninja, Jesse Doyle. It is always an honor and a treat. Finally, someone reacted to that the right way. I think you're a great person to talk to during this whole pandemic.
I'm glad you think that way, because I need somebody to talk to half the time. That's how I feel like right now.
That's kind of how it goes, though, man. Is a lot of times it's just life is about living, and you kind of learn as you go. And sometimes when you don't think that, you kind of feel like you're not really doing what you want to do in the world, you're actually doing it for other people.
Yeah, man. Guess you gave me the chills there when you said it. That means we're on to something. We're on to a hot streak there somewhere. So
yeah, man. Because you really do so much, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about you is you're a very humble person, but you're very achieved in wrestling, jiu-jitsu, MMA, and not only are you so humble about that, but you give back so much with the kids. For the people who don't know, Jesse is an avid jiu-jitsu competitor, lifelong wrestler, competing in MMA, but he's also what I think one of the best kids coaches there is.
Hey, thank you for that. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Because I see
definitely been a passion for a long time. Actually, I got asked 2 times this week, how long you been coaching? And, it comes up time to time, but just 2 times this actual week. And I was thinking about it. And I've always coached really ever since I started wrestling. It was known that my coach expected me when I was in middle school to be there early to help coach the elementary kids, and then when you're in high school, you go to the middle school a couple of times a week, help those guys out. When you're in college, you come back and coach the high school kids, and it's just, it's a revolution. So now I'm in the position of, the kids coach at HB Ultimate Training Center. And we started with 2 kids and we're up to, almost 50, 60 kids. And
wow.
It's awesome, man. I love it. It's my dream job. I tell the parents every day, I'm not doing anything else. This is what I'm going to do in some form or fashion, until the day I die. I got these lessons to pass on, and it's going to take some time, and, people need to hear it,
Yeah. And it's such an important role, I think. And because it's as cliche as it sounds, the children are literally the future. Like the youth is the future. Amen, brother.
And we are them.
Yeah. And it really is. I love seeing people in positions that can help, or people who are in positions that some would look at as an authority or a power position, and they use that for good rather than using that as an opportunity to oppress people and kind of, let their ego kind of run them.
That's 100%. I almost feel it an obligation now, man. Not that I picked to be a coach, but as my competitive career and things, continued, I realized that not everyone was blessed to have, great mentors and coaches and people that really poured into them along the way. And I've had that. And so I even think it's bigger than me. It's not what I have to share, and I think last time we talked, one of our things were by the mercy of my teachers. And, that's something I've, haven't stopped saying since even when we were on the podcast and before. It's not me. It's bigger than me. It's the people that poured into me and gave me life's teachings to help make me be able to navigate this life, and the people that poured into them. And you don't know, like that 5-minute convo you have with somebody, and they take away a little piece, and then they pass it on to a kid, and they pass it on to somebody else. It just has a life of its own. You know what I mean? It's almost transcendent of us,
Yeah, I think that's beautiful, man. And that's why I experienced that when we first met at HBUTC. I knew you were a special dude, and I know this is just
man, you made me blush.
This is me just asking you out, and I'd really like to take our relationship further.
Lunch this time. Last time you bought me lunch.
I love that philosophy because it's a freeing philosophy, and you feel good about it. Is because I never look at things, and this is why I love jujitsu and I love different art forms and people who are in it. Because when you look at it of not just your results, but you look at it as our results, and you look at the whole art form and pushing it forward, you're a part of all the results that come out of that. Like, it's bigger than the one ego. It's all of us. So when one of us does good, we all do good, And
then the better you do, the better you refine, the more, as I like to put it, I have these little things tucked away that I need you to come down and film soon so that we can get them published. But they're my contributions to jiu-jitsu. So they're new takes, new things, there's new ideas. Everybody kind of has them. You see it on, BJJ Fanatics every week. Somebody drops a new technique video, but just small little concept changes, and it's an evolving thing. But those are the contributions,
Yeah, it's beautiful, man.
But then I kind of flipped that, and I actually have it written up on my little vision board here thing, if you will. And I don't even remember who said it. But the guy said, the world changes based on your example, not by your opinion. And it was on like some random reality TV show. Oh, I know what it was. It was like Alaskan Bush People or something. I live with
those shows.
An older guy, dude. He watches it every night. We pay $250 a month for cable. Okay. I need to talk to this man. Netflix is $10 a month, dude. But he just has to have the TV so he can just, flick through.
250. Wow.
Dude, wow. Out of this
You
world.
might be the only person paying for it.
Dude, I'm like, we're splitting utilities. I'm like, dang, man, we could save a bundle there. You know what I'm saying? But we were watching, the guy says, yeah, he's like working on some bill. He's like, well, the world changes based on your example, not by your opinion. So I better get to work. I was like, damn, I wrote that shit down. I was like, damn, that's good.
That's really good, man. I don't know if you struggle with this, but one of the things I struggle with is, and I'm trying to get better at, is not caring what other people say, in the sense of I'm trying to take more of an approach that people eventually things work out the way they're supposed to. When some people jump into things and all of a sudden they're pretending that they're this great grandiose person and they can do this, they can do that. Sometimes I'm like, it annoys me, where I'm just like, man, you haven't put in the hard times, the dedication to all of this. But which is why I love comedy and I love jujitsu and fighting, is because it's the great equalizer.
You can't fake it.
You can say whatever you want, but eventually you either got to make people laugh or you got to hurt them. Like, you got to win. You got to like make them laugh or cry. And
at the same time, you're no prerequisites. There's no, it doesn't matter how much money you got, where you come from, anything like that. It's check all that shit at the door, and you're based solely on how well you perform this art that we all love, whether it is comedy or jiu-jitsu. it's like you said, the equalizer. Everybody's on the same playing field. Nobody gives a shit about anything else. Just, are you a good drill partner? Are you doing good training? Are you working hard? Are you adding to the, communicative goal? Or are you taking away, like you said,
Yeah. I feel like jujitsu is a great metaphor for life with society and communities, because there are people who come into it and sometimes they want to take more than they give, and they usually don't last in the gym, like it's such a great equalizer. How have you, I know we talked around the beginning of the pandemic. You came in when we first were hearing whispers of coronavirus, and it wasn't really this crazy thing. How has it been for you during all this time?
Man, it's definitely, I don't know if it's been the coronavirus, but just, life's challenging, man. So life is hard sometimes. And there's always things to deal with, and everybody's fighting a fight of some kind. That's what I've come to find out. But I'm getting through it, man. Honestly, doubling down on your intuition and your gut instinct. And sometimes you need someone to tell you that you are on the right track, or remind you that you used to be on the right track. I called one of my buddies up. His name's Scott Acosta, and we wrestled together. He helped coach me to one of my state titles in high school and stuff. He's a cool guy. And we're still friends, jiu-jitsu, blue belt and stuff. So he trains a lot. But I called him. I was like, man, I'm just not really training that hard. I'm like, kind of down. There's no competition. There's no nothing, man. I'm like, boy, he's like, dude, you're the fucking champ. Like, you're the best. Like, you're always been the one that works the hardest. Like, you're the one that shows up early. Like, you're the one that does it when nobody's doing it. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you're the mental killer. You're the one that gets everybody hyped. And I was like, man, I don't feel like that. But then I started to think, I was like, damn, that is me. I'm the dog. You got to let that dog out sometimes. And that day I just went to the gym, and I just went as hard as I could on the air down bike, and a couple other things I've been doing, things that, just supposed to wreck your body, get tired. And I was expecting to just be sore, just beat down. And I was ready for it. So I could be like, oh, I told you I don't train anymore, And then but I woke up the next day and my feet hit the floor, and it just felt a little different. Like, oh, let's go do something hard, I was like, okay. Yeah. And then, but it wasn't like that for the first, half of it. I'm like, dude, just fucking laying in bed forever, ain't no kids class. I look forward to kids class every day. Like, I'm amped for it, like I'm just jacked. Like, let's go. It's time, I got to be entertaining. Got to get these guys going. When that's not going, you got to find other things to get excited about. Finding a little routine has helped me a lot. Getting outside a lot, especially here in Southern California, got no freaking excuse not to be at the beach, not to stand beside that, magnificent thing and be in awe. Oh, got one other thing here.
Let me see it. I know what it is. Oh shit!
She doesn't have her sweater on right now, but this is Zuli. She's
adorable, man.
She's a little Maltipoo. She's our little 6-month-old baby, and she's definitely helped bring up the vibe of the house and everything. And she goes with me everywhere. Goes to the gym. I strap her to my chest and like a baby Bjorn, and everyone just stares at me like I'm half crazy, but I'm like, I love her. Okay. I was like, I'm that crazy dog dad now. And I never thought I'd put my dog in a sweater, but she gets cold. This little baby gets cold. She likes it.
She's a precious little dog, man. How important has that been for you? This pandemic, having something like, I honestly, I'd never have called my dog an emotional support dog, but it is so nice.
She's registered. You got a doctor's note, okay? She flies.
I can take her on the plane right now. Call up Southwest. Yeah. They got a seat for her.
Shameless plug, Queen Zuli on Instagram. This is her.
Okay. Shout out. Yeah, man, it's been great having a dog for me during all this time, because you wake up and it's just a pure ball of joy just to greet in the morning and just, go on walks, and it's great, man.
Good reminder. One of my buddies, Jeff Glossner, he's a pro MMA fighter out of Maryland.
Yeah. He trains HBUTC, yeah?
Yeah, he used to.
Great
he's back
hands.
in Maryland now, dude. Beast. Guy had check on Instagram, had like a 9-second knockout or something in his last fight. Yeah. Stud. But I was talking to him, and he's got a little pup too, and he put it really good. He was like, even on the worst days, you got to be able to take care of that little pup. So it's like your baseline's a little higher than it used to be, So even on the worst days, like, or sometimes I struggle to take care of myself, it's like, damn, I ain't showered, I ain't ate, Oh, did I lose you?
Oh man, I think my camera went out for a second. Now we're on the shitty camera. I've been doing podcasts this entire day, so my camera just
Dude, I was about to say it sounded like you just booked up hour on hour, son. He's like, I'm
yeah, man. We've been going since 11:30 hard.
Dude, I'm saying I have a lot of respect for that. Not even just the grind part, but just the fact that, like, hey man, I'm gonna make this and touch base with all these people that I know and I've talked to, and almost like a check-in. I was like, dude, I should just make a list and just sit down and call a bunch of people I've been meaning to call. You know, I was thinking about that too the other day, about
man,
just keeping in touch, even digitally. It's a blessing and a curse. You know, sometimes we're addicted to it, but you can call anybody. So you can FaceTime whoever. That's like my buddy Scott, when I FaceTime him, he's like, go work out, you know. And I was like, all right.
It's a huge thing, especially now. That was one thing.
We got a wardrobe change real quick for
shit.
for the podcast. Oh, and then I was gonna go on one more thing before I forgot. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about being, you know, not having a little baby, not being alone, you know, the dog helps, the girlfriend helps. My girlfriend Laura's been a huge blessing during this time, you know, just have someone that has, you know, good energy, and, you know, as much as someone can have their shit together, you know, we all got shit to work on, but if somebody's working on their self, you know, they can hold space for you and hear your thoughts and feelings and things like that, you know, and it's definitely been a huge help.
Yeah, man, I love that. And
here she is right here. Now, that's what she usually looks like.
now that's an Instagram model dog. That is a dog influencer.
Dog influencer.
Yeah, man. That's awesome, man. I'm glad you have someone that you can grow with, and it's important, man. That's what I was talking with the last guests about, is you kind of, during this pandemic, people find their baseline and what's important, and a lot of times it is someone that, you know, you care about and benefits your life, and kind of a lot of the bullshit gets out of the way, and you kind of start seeing what's important in life, and having someone at your side that only tries to help you is important.
That's huge. The people you're around, and then even like you said this time, dude, it literally shows you what you really are. You know what I mean? Like when you're left alone to your own devices, when there's no work, nothing to attend to, what do you find yourself doing? You know, or like, and it was like, you know, I really was going in the room and, you know, drilling or stretching or working out, you know, 2-3 times a day. I'm like, damn, this is what I really enjoy doing. Now I just, you know, what else do I enjoy doing? I like to walk the dog. I like to go to the beach. I like to, you know, do a yoga class, you know, and to really read a book. I was like, damn, I'm reading books. What the heck? Even if it's only like, you know, I got these Normatec boots that like inflate and squeeze your legs, you know. I'm shivering out here. It's getting cold. But I started reading while I did the Normatec boots. So I was like, so I do at least like 10 minutes. And then when it's off, I like just put the book down. So
that's good, man. I would like to ask you before we go.
Shit. I forgot we're going to run out of time. I'm sorry, dude.
It's all good, brother. What have you learned in 2020, and what would your advice be for someone who's struggling in 2020?
Oh, man. Well, first, be good to yourself. You know, talk good to yourself. You deserve it. Your little negative doubt, everybody's got that little guy, you know what I mean? You got to put that fucker in check sometimes.
Amen.
And the other thing is me and my buddy Skylar Hicks, my best friend, we live by this rule. You don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. You know what I mean? And to do that takes a very special person, because it's not that you just recklessly abandon how you're perceived by the outside world or the things, but you know yourself so well, and you're so connected to the things that you hold true, you know, and you've built the value system that you believe in, that if you can run whatever you're doing through that value system and it passes, then there's literally nothing you can tell me from the outside that's going to change that fact. You know what I mean? So there's obviously, you're going to take advice from people. You're going to listen. You're going to learn. You're going to, you know, some people are like, hey, don't go jump off that cliff. You're going to fucking listen, you know? Yeah. But when you know in your heart something's true, that's what it means. When you know in your heart something's true, you got that feeling. I call it my feeling. Then you can't give a fuck what anybody thinks. You know what I mean? Whether it's, hey, you need to get this 9 to 5 and get a 401k, when you know damn well your business is about to take off, or you know damn well you need to start this podcast, and look at you now, dude, killing it, bro. You know? So it's like some things you know in your heart, and you can't let other people ruin that. You know, maybe because they didn't listen to their voice, or who knows? You know, who knows why they're trying to do that.
Amen, man. That's such an important part is, I had people telling me in the beginning of this, and granted 100 episodes, I'm very happy with that, but I plan on doing 1,000, it's not stopping. And, there's people telling me like, how are you going to do a podcast by yourself? How are you going to do this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I'll figure it out. I'm going to do it because that's what I want to do. And, with time and dedication, things grow, and
Really?
Man, I think it's so important for people to have perspectives like that of just, you always got to bet on yourself,
Hey, man, I said that the other night. They were watching those crazy UFC fights the other night with
Morena.
What's his name? Ferguson almost getting his arm snapped off.
Man.
Dude, all that shit. And my roommate's like, well, who'd you say was going to win? Where's your money at? And I said, hey, listen, I know who I thought was going to win, but I don't bet on no one except for myself. That's what I said. It's like, damn right.
Yeah, man. My
coach used to say, always bet on red.
Yeah, bet on red, baby. Oh, that's great. You got a great catchphrase. I always ask people if they have an interesting name or something, if they have a catchphrase for it, but bet on red. Always bet on red. I like that.
Yeah, right. Dude.
Jesse, the Ginga Ninja, thank you so much for doing this special episode.
Yeah, man. Can I ask you one thing? Can I flip that on you?
Yeah, go for it, brother.
I want your little advice. In 2020, it's obviously been challenging, but I've also feel like I've seen you rise to the occasion. You know what I mean? I've seen you flip this thing on its head. And if anything, I'm turning to you like, damn, what's this guy thinking about today? He's, is he gardening? Is he out here doing this? Is he, is it a sick edit video? Like, is it some comedy about some social commentary going on? Like, I just love it all, man. So
thanks, brother.
What's your biggest takeaway? And what's something that you look forward to? What's something that you're happy about coming up?
Man, my takeaway from 2020 is I've kind of always, and this ties into some more deeper, serious stuff, in the past, been through hard times, lost my brother and, just certain things. And I kind of, when you go through hard stuff, sometimes you allow yourself to be a victim where you allow, because you have an excuse, whether it's valid or not, to accept that position of like, oh, well, I can do this because of that. But I think one thing that I was kind of prepared for in 2020 is, and I've kind of always been that way, is I'm always independent and I'm not waiting for someone to save me or to help me. And everything I do, I just try to have as much confidence in myself and what I want to do. So my biggest thing was with 2020, which is a very scary thing. And it's not like I'm just like always headstrong. I'm going to win. I'm going to do this.
That's what people don't get. It's like, you can put it together that was the end outcome. But dude, we went to go through the dark. Go through the dark every time.
Anxiety, stress, self-doubt, all these things I deal with, on a regular basis. And it's all about no one is going to help me. And like the world, I look at, I would look at the real world of the food chain and animals. And I'm like, the world is not sunshine and rainbows. There is people feed and, people get eaten in the animal kingdom. And it's like, you have to not wait for someone to help you or to help you realize your dream, and I think it's so important for you to always just bet on yourself. That's been my biggest thing is build your empire yourself and no one can take it from you.
Amen. And even the parallel I draw from that is I'll be doing this till the day I die, as far as the coach and the training. You like yourself, double on yourself, bet on yourself always, unrelenting when it comes to that. Especially when it's something you love, but on the vice versa. You feel that in the pit of your stomach, like, fuck, dude, I feel like those are your red alarms, like you're not using your full potential, you're not doing what you love, that's why you get those angry feelings, those dark feelings, and it sometimes takes a buddy or somebody to come and, take you out to coffee to get you out of it or whatever. So I watched The Grinch this morning too.
Yeah.
The best dude soundtrack is sick, the cartoon one. And at the very end, he's like eating Christmas dinner and everything with all the Who's, and he goes, man, I didn't hate Christmas. He's like, I thought I hated Christmas and all this. He's like, I just hated being alone. It's like, and even if the Grinch that's why the Grinch is sad. That's probably why all these people are sad too. When you're going home and just trapped on your phone or trapped by yourself, get a puppy, you know, get a girlfriend, get a buddy, go out to get coffee, you know, whatever. And
that's why they say misery loves company, and to bring that back in, I think that's why a lot of people do hate and tell you not to do things, because they didn't do that themselves. But on the flip side, it makes me sad. And I hope that, you know, anybody listening or anybody in the world, I wish everybody could do whatever they loved, because the world would just be a different place, you know. Jesse,
dude,
I appreciate you.
Freaking miss you, dude. I want to give you a hug, bro.
Yeah,
Dang, personal
man.
hug, get it in here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. In 2021, we'll do it again, brother.
Always, man. Love you, miss you.
Love you too,
anything
brother.
You're a part of, I want to be a part of, man. So
thanks, bro. I appreciate that. Bro, you look like Antonio Banderas meets Aquaman.
Ooh, I like these.
That's all I know. I could make that blend.
I
like the curls and everything, man.
Oh, they're coming out as they grow out. I used to have really, really curly hair growing up, but you look like Tom Cruise from Top Gun.
This part of the episode featuring the one and only Sam Warchief Doyle.
Thank you. There's a lot of people in the stadium tonight.
Yeah. A lot of people not doing the stay-at-home order in quarantine. We filled this place to the rafters. How you doing, brother?
Doing well, man. I just I think the last time we linked up, we had that event gonna come through. It was Claim the 805. It was going on. Little did we know that week would be the lockdown. So we had to put a pause on a lot of events and stuff for the foreseeable future. Obviously, I'm sure as everyone, but you know, it kind of affected us, but I know it's affecting everyone. So we do have some charity stuff that we're doing now. So we have a good direction where we want to put these things and these efforts. Everyone's struggling through 2020. So it's nice to give back, because we all connect on a certain level, whether it's just culture or subculture. But that's what we've been up to. Stream this Saturday, by the way. Just want to throw that out there before I forget.
For the people who don't know, I'll explain real quick, is that Sam runs SubcultureVulturez, which is at the time he came on the podcast before we were promoting live b-boy events and an Easter egg, and it was really going to be an amazing thing for the culture and also the city. It was really going to I think it was going to be such a dope event. And thinking about it now, you're one of the people who your career and everything you're doing was directly impacted, where you can with the shutdowns and everything, but you're also an inspiration, because you're one of the people who are like, you got to be like Bruce Lee, baby. You got to be like Wata. You just got to adapt, and have put a lot of the events that you're doing online through streaming.
Yeah, that is true. I have Bruce Lee right there. You know, what
bars
right there. But yeah, no, it was. It affected me, but I know a lot of people got affected worse than me. But it's just kind of just staying sane. You know, trying to do what you got to do to survive in this new world that we're going into. But it's exciting, but it's also I feel it in the air. It's kind of anxious times always. Mm-hmm. Everyone's kind of feeling a lot of pent up stress. So
yeah, man,
go figure.
What horoscope sign are you?
I am a Leo.
It's funny because I have to tell this. Sam was one of the first people that said something about horoscopes to me. He was describing someone else, and he was like, he's a Capricorn. And I was like, wait, what? And since that time, I have dabbled into it. And some of it, man, it's spooky to me, where I'm like, this might be true.
I love that. I was like, no, he's like, that's just what Capricorns do. Like, no, that's just what assholes do. Like, that's what an asshole would do. And I'm like, no, it's because he's a Capricorn. Of course, the stars don't lie, Evan.
Yeah, it's in the stars. You can't help it. Okay. Where are you doing a lot of these charity streams? I've seen that you guys have raised a lot of money for cancer benefits.
Yeah.
Kind of charities.
So this one, we have one. Yeah, we have some. This one we have. It's for the last one we just did, which is the one we did prior to this. So we raised $1,200 on the first one, on the first run of it.
That's awesome.
And now, we felt that. I mean, thank you. It was really amazing. Now we did it again for a 1-up on cancer again. So the first one was on a 1-up on cancer. The second one we just did, and we're doing another one this Saturday. And I have who this one's gonna be. It's gonna be like like an Advent week, kind of just a different charity every week. So we're just kind of more eggs in a lot of baskets because we just don't want to. We know everyone's struggling, so
yeah, man.
So it'd be nice. So this one is for it's like Best Friends Animal Shelter. So it's on 3 p.m. On Saturday, December 19th. So it's benefiting Best Friends Animal Sanctuary. The games we're going to be playing are going to be Mario Kart, Killer Queen, Jackbox. Feel free to hop on the stream if you have one of these systems, or and it's Replay with Rena.
Okay,
is who we're going through. That's who we're hosting. So she's organizing the charity stuff. We host these events. And
so I would need a Nintendo Switch to be able to play Mario Kart.
Not for the Jackbox games. For Mario Kart, yeah. Sadly, like, have you ever played Jackbox?
No.
Jackbox is really fun.
Off in a box, but I've never
jacked off in a box. I've jacked off in a Jack in a Box once.
Yeah, I had no choice.
I was like, is that what you mean? Not at all, Evan.
I'm curious with you because I know you have like a stoic philosophy and always a very observant person. What have you learned from 2020, and what would be your advice for anybody who's struggling with 2020?
Gosh, for 2020, man, I would just keep hanging in there. You know what I mean? This is not something that's happened, to every single generation. Obviously there's stuff we can look at in hindsight that we could have done better, and other stuff. But either way, we just got to just keep moving forward. If we're part of the species of like humanity, like humans are known for one thing, it's being adaptable. And if we can just keep being adaptable to these next situations coming on there, we might have to give up for some things to get something better in the future. You know what I mean? We're just all about loss. We're going to gain a lot of stuff too out of this, but it really depends on who is the most adaptable is really going to keep moving forward. I mean, like, it's very Darwinistic if I say it like that, but it's but that does just mean it's just going to be like survival of the fittest, like alone, which we can all help each other out in this thing. Like, we might have to be more caring in the future. You know what I mean? Yeah. So start practicing it more now. We might have to be more like aware of like what we're actually doing on a daily basis, what we're listening to, what kind of information is being spread and stuff. Like, there's a lot of stuff we could take away from 2020. Like, it's just a very confusing time, and it's really supposed to be just a time that we're supposed to grow. So
yeah.
But if you're struggling through 2020, if you have like a charity or a cause you want to put on there, we got a good community. We have an awesome community that just loves to connect via games. If you've been feeling lonely this year, like, sometimes it's not even just what's happened to losing a job. Like, a lot of people are just alone now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine for most of the elderly that are out there too,
Yeah.
Just everything kind of just stops for a while. People losing their jobs, they can't afford a spot. So, I can keep going on about that, but just keep hanging in there. You know what I mean? There is going to be an end to all this, and in a positive light. But it only happens if you make it there. You know what I mean? Like, if you just keep hanging in there, and that's all you have to keep doing. And talk to a friend, connect with us.
Where can people actually go if they do want to play with the Subculture Vulture community?
I would recommend we have game nights on Wednesday nights. We do some live streamings intermittently throughout the week. So Saturday is a big one. That's usually for like event days for charities and stuff.
Is Subculture Vulture on YouTube, or where is it at?
So yeah, you can check us out on YouTube. It's the Subculture Vultures. You can find us under the hashtag Battle Ready Games. So we have that going on now.
But thank you so much for doing this, Sam.
Of course,
I wish you well with all the charities, and anything I can do to help with them, feel free to reach out.
Will do, man. You have a good one,
brother.
Love you too, big dog.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the final segment of the 100th episode special, we drop across the pond over to the original Robin Hood from Nottingham, a one-of-a-kind, outworks me all the time, Sam Holland, ladies and gentlemen. Sam, welcome to the podcast, mate. It's good to see you.
Thanks for having me, man. Good to see you as always, mate. It's always a pleasure to be a part of this experience.
Yeah. And I mean that, man. I love seeing all the content you put out, man. I feel like you outwork so many people when it comes to putting out video content. What's the secret?
Oh, it's the secret. I'm just trying to keep up with you, man.
Oh man. You really put out videos almost every single day, I feel like, in stories. Like, and they're very high quality stories, and it's always just go, go, go.
I think, well, thanks, man. Thanks for noticing. I think if you want to do well in this sort of thing, it's just important to stay present on as many platforms as you can. So I'm just trying to like coming up with ideas all the time, but trying to share as much as possible. And I'm trying to keep it that I'm helping people and not just talking about, oh, look what I've done, you know?
Yeah.
So hopefully that comes across.
Is that the goal? Is that you just love helping people with filmmaking?
Yeah, that's the goal. Because when I first started about 2-3 years ago, and I started looking at videos on YouTube, it was so helpful to have people sharing tips and advice. So I thought if I can do the same thing for other people, then that's good. That's what I want to do.
Yeah. And that comes across, man, in your videos, because you can kind of see through. That's the one thing I like about the internet now, is that you can kind of see through when people are just doing it for the likes, or they're doing it just to get a following, and they're like pretending to be a guru. But over time, if you put out enough content, people are going to see through that. And I think that really shines through with you, that you actually care about teaching people and teaching them the right way, you know, like actually trying to help, you know.
Thanks, man. Well, that's good. I'm so pleased about that.
It's a love feft over here. It's all love right now, you know. That's what the world needs right now.
Yeah, a bit of bromance.
Yeah,
lifting each other up.
Yeah. How's everything?
To be fair, man. Sorry, I was going to say. To be fair, since we started being in touch, your photography and your videography was something that inspired me as well, because it's
man,
so,
you're just saying that.
I'm not at all. I wouldn't do that. It's all genuine, you know. And when you see people like that, it just makes you think. It helps you grow, and then obviously us having these chats all the time, it's great. It's a good platform. So, you know, credit to you as well, man.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I love being inspired by other people, and that's kind of why I have. One thing I've really learned in 2020, we could start talking about this, is choosing what I look at and choosing what I allow to influence me. And it's like, if you follow certain people and you're constantly being inundated with all this hate and negativity and all this stuff, it kind of brings you down. So like, I'm really selective with who I actually follow and what kind of stuff I look at, just so I try to control my own little world, and you know, and give me the right mindset to keep doing what I'm trying to do, you know.
True, man. Yeah. Especially like you say, if you're in lockdown, you've got to be motivated by the right sort of people and energy. So definitely it's a good idea.
How have you I've been asking every guest on this episode, what have you learned from 2020, and what kind of advice would you give to anybody struggling with 2020?
It's been a long year, and for everybody, they've had to cope in different ways. But I think if you want to break through any sort of adversity, I guess the thing that I would say is try and be as adaptive as possible. Because sometimes you don't have a choice what happens to you, or what happens to your job, or whatever it is. But what you're going to do, are you going to sit and dwell on it and stay as you are, or are you going to like sort of move with what's happening and try and make it work? So, I mean, I've been incredibly fortunate that I can do this, you know, because whatever skills you have, basically try and make it work and fit with what's happening. So I just got into doing video stuff, filming weddings and corporate stuff. And then all of that got taken away from me. So then I thought, right, how can I use what I already have and earn money? So that's what I did. Took the skills to the internet and try and help other people. So that would be my advice. Just adapt to what's going on as much as possible.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. And that's it's interesting because I do talk to some people, and they it seems like that's a theme with people who are succeeding, and it is being able to adapt in any environment. It's like I've literally said, it's like 3 people I've interviewed recently. It's like Bruce Lee, man. You got to be Wata, you know, if you enter the cup. Yeah, man. It's just being able to adapt to whatever happens. And I think that's great advice, man. Do you journal at all?
Yes, every morning.
Really?
Every morning. Yeah.
Awesome, man.
You do the same. Do you do it?
Yeah. What do you I'm always interested in people's journaling process. What do you normally write about? Is it just day-to-day stuff? Is it stuff that you want to do? What do you normally journal about? You don't have to go into detail.
It's well, you know what I'm like. You ask me a question and you'll get the long answer. So I'll try and nutshell it. But
no, you just don't have to give out any juicy details. That's what's in your journal if you don't want to.
Got you. Yeah. Dear diary.
Dear diary.
It's basically a combination of like trying to process my thoughts. If something challenging is happening at the present time, I'll write how I'm feeling, and then I'll just keep writing, and then like a better approach arises out of that. So I can then, my thought process about that particular thing will become better. And then when the thought arises later on in the day, I've got that better way of dealing with it, like to hand. Because sometimes if you don't process things properly, when that thought keeps coming up, it can get you down, can't it? So like processing it like that at the beginning of the day, I find really helps. So that, and then some sort of like something that I'm working on, or that a goal that I want to reach, like with the YouTube channel or something like that. I'll write some ideas down, or like that. And then like gratitude as well, things that I'm grateful for. But what about you, man? What's yours?
Same kind of thing, man. It's actually pretty similar. And I think, writing down any kind of issues, if there's a problem that kept me up at night, waking up and kind of writing about it is going to be great. If I'm feeling overwhelmed with a lot of stuff I have to do, I'll take that day as writing like a longhand to-do list, kind of just write out everything I have to get done and what the priorities are and why. And it's therapeutic like that, when you're able just to go, stop, let's write out everything we have to do, and it makes it easier. And yeah, man, like you said, sometimes I come to solutions. You start writing for, almost a whole page, and in those last 2 sentences, something finally makes sense, Have you ever read The War of Art?
No.
Okay. I tell everybody about this book, The War of Art. It's an amazing book. It's not The Art of War. It's The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. It's about dealing with resistance and creativity. Like how when you have like writer's block and like, stopping yourself from doing creative things and having output. Like someone, for example, who like wants to write a book, but they never sit down to write. They always find an excuse of why they're not going to do it. In this book, it's amazing, man. I've read it probably at least 15 times. It talks about a lot that like the process you have to go through if you're writing a book, like 50 minutes of just writing complete bullshit. Nothing good comes from it. And then in those last 10 minutes, you write that gold, something that actually is going to, be mind-blowing. And it's like you have to go through all that 50 minutes of bullshit to actually get to that,
Yeah. So true.
Yeah. And I find that correlate that to journaling, that sometimes it kind of feels repetitive, and some days you're like, this is pointless, I'm wasting time. Yeah. And then, you get a little golden nugget from it, man.
So true. I felt like that today. I was like, what do I write about? But then you just got to get started, and then it comes. And then sometimes the days that I've felt like I can't think of anything to write, I've ended up writing more than I normally would on a regular day.
Yeah.
And also, like, it's like bands that release an album, everybody thinks that they were the only 10 songs or whatever that they wrote, but really they would have wrote 30 or 50 songs, and only 10, the 10 best ones made it on.
Yeah.
And it's like that with whatever you do, videos. I bet it's the same with jokes when you do your stand-up. I bet the one, you know, and you have to refine them, fine-tune them, and then your favorite ones, or the ones that you test the most, make it onto the stage.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, I digress.
No, that's exactly it, man. Yeah, man. I just wanted to have you on for a quick segment. It's amazing that you did this. I thank you so much. I have a lot of friends that are starting, you know, that are comedians that are starting to get into video production, and I send them your way.
You legend.
If you guys are watching this and you have any inklings to get into video production, stop getting in my DMs, stop sliding in my DMs, and go to Sam Holland's DMs. Okay. go to YouTube, type in Sam Holland. You got to type in Sam Holland and watch all his video production tutorials. He's very thorough. He has the voice like Planet Earth narration. It's going to be a great time.
Mate, thanks for the plug. Appreciate it, man.
Of course, man. And I hope you have a good Christmas, and let's link up in 2021.
Definitely, man. I'm sure we'll chat before anyway, but thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure. Take care, man.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, man.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We did it. We made it through every single interview with every single guest in the first 100 episodes. I couldn't be more proud of the podcast and the fact that everybody came on it. And it feels great, ladies and gentlemen. It feels great to make it to this milestone, because, you know, it's been a hell of a year. And I told myself when I started this podcast, no matter what, rain, snow, or shine, even though I'm indoors, I would put out episodes every single week. And we stuck with that. We had one less episode when I went on a trip to Texas, but that was, it didn't fall under the rain, snow, or shine clause that I created. So it was okay. If you liked the episode, feel free to give it a like on YouTube, on the tubes. Please go subscribe on iTunes, Spotify. If you haven't left a review on iTunes, it helps a lot with the casting. And thank you so much, everybody that was on the podcast. I appreciate you, and you, the listener at home. It's been an amazing year, and it's so cliche to say, but we couldn't have done it without you. Every single message I received this year in 100 episodes, when, you know, there was days and times when I was like, I feel like this isn't just going anywhere and I'm just going to keep doing it. But I just felt like I didn't have a lot of motivation. And then someone would write me and be like, oh, I love the podcast and this episode and blah, blah, blah. And then it would be a little bit of juice in your boy. Someone got in Evan for 7 minutes and juiced him up. Doesn't sound right at all. But that's what y'all did. The love. Thank you so much. It's been an honor to make you laugh, make you cry, make you think for the past 100 episodes. And here's to 900 more episodes. And remember, no matter what, I still love you. Happy 100 episodes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the inaugural flagship episode of my podcast. 7 minutes in Evan. I thought 7 inches in Evan. Nah. We're not going to get any sponsors with this thing. But I feel like that was the most clever name I could think of. And that's what I'm going with right now. And obviously it's not going to be 7 minutes long, but for now, it's cute, right? And no matter what, remember, I love you.